All right. Welcome everybody to Grape to Glass for our Grateful members and our cause entrepreneur community. This is a deep dive, everything from the grape to the glass. And of course, we get to virtually taste together like you're in Napa Valley. And today, I'm not even in Napa Valley. Dan is at Estate 8. He is our Napa Valley representative today. But I'm down here in Orange County visiting our offices down here and spending the holiday with family. So I just wanted to welcome everybody again. This is Grape to Glass. I'm Mari Coyle, Director of Wine here at One Hope. And I can truly say that it's my favorite part of my job to be here with you guys once a month and take a deep dive into these wines and share them with you, just like you were in my own home. It's so much fun. And especially with the holidays coming up and my passion for food and wine, this one is particularly grateful. Grape. It's particularly grape. So I'm going to crack open the Muscat Canelli first. I know some of you are swirling wine in your glasses, and I'm sure you've already opened the Muscat. So I wanted to give you a couple serving tips before we dive right into this wonderful wine. One is that there are a variety of temperatures that you can serve white and reds, but I happen to like Muscat Canelli really cold. Maybe it's the sweetness that really seems to be more imbalanced when the wine is colder, but I just really love this one cold. So what does that mean for you? Well, has anybody seen our seasonal supplement that we have shipped with the shipments this quarter? The seasonal supplement actually has a Muscat granita in it, which is amazing. It's a really fun wine cocktail that you can serve, and it's kind of an icy, snowy beverage for rolling into winter season. But I also think it really accentuates this wine and really makes it delicious, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about why. So I like to serve my Muscat Canelli cold. That means maybe if I'm at a tasting or bringing it to friends, having an ice bucket on hand, throwing it in the freezer if you need to for a few minutes just to get a really good chill on it. And I think that's how it expresses itself best. I also love that this wine has our screw cap closure because it's very aromatic, meaning that it is very intense floral and fruit aromas. And because of that, the screw cap closure actually preserves those aromas. So it's the ideal closure for wines like this that are meant to be enjoyed, very fresh, very lively, and really pretty wines. Now, tonight I am not in my own home. I am in my family's home for the holidays. So I have the best glass that I could find without getting out the fine china. So I've got this really pretty water glass, and that's what I'm going to be pouring my wine into. Many of you who've joined me before for tastings know that you can use any glass that you choose. I love stemless tumblers. I also really like to use stems on occasion, so you can mix it up, but the point is that you can really enjoy wine out of any glass. And tonight I'm going to be doing just that with our Muscat Canelli. So a little bit about the Muscat Canelli grape itself before we dive into tasting the wine. The Muscat grapes and wines always have this pronounced sweet floral aroma. And that's what I was talking about with this aromatic expression. So we talk about aromatic whites. Some of those are like Riesling and Gewürztraminer, which we also have in our portfolio of wines. And these are really pronounced with floral and fruit aromas, meaning that is the number one driver for these wines to be popular. They're really intense. They smell like perfume. There just almost isn't anybody that I've ever heard of that says, I don't like the smell of Muscat. I mean, it's amazing. It's beautiful. So you can go ahead and swirl your glass as we're talking about the wine and just get a little bit of those aromas that I'm talking about. It's really, really, really pretty. It's like strolling around Southern California, smelling jasmine and gardenia and orange blossom. That's what this wine really reminds me of. The breadth and number of Muscat varieties really really are extensive. There is Muscat varieties that are grown all over the world. We have Muscat Canelli, we have Orange Muscat, Muscat of Alexandria, so many different varieties, but we all kind of call this family of grapes Muscat. And typically they're used in blending, so oftentimes you don't even see them by themselves. Or maybe you've seen Moscato, which we're going to talk a little bit about. But they're often used in small percentages as blenders to other white wines. So if a winemaker is blending up their Sauvignon Blanc and they just want that little extra oomph of floral note without taking over the blend, then they might add a little bit of Muscat here and there. But we're really lucky to have this Muscat Canelli in our portfolio, which means that we get to enjoy it on its own. And I know it's really, really popular with all of our customers and hosts and CEs who love a sweeter wine. Anybody love sweeter wine? I know you're out there. Traditionally, Italian winemakers did use this grape to produce kind of that low alcohol, spritzy white that's called Moscato and oftentimes poured as an aperitif. And that's where that Moscato origin came from. It's grown throughout the world, like I said, but Italian winemakers sort of put Moscato on the map as their signature white wine. It really does not disappoint. If anybody has had a Moscato, it's just like nectar. It's refreshing. It's all this aroma, a touch of sweetness. And we do have one that's exclusive at our Estate 8. Some of you who've been there before have tasted that. And that's a Napa Valley Moscato that's in that same vein of winemaking. And I like to call that sort of this nectar of Napa Valley. Napa Valley nectar, it punctuates your tasting when you're there because it's really pronounced, it's really refreshing and very delicious. So the wine that we are tasting tonight is the 2017 Muscat Canelli. That's what I've got in my glass with our screw cap finish. And we popped on some images of our tasting descriptors here: orange blossom, white peach, lemon drop candy, and lemon zest. These are all things that I know you guys have smelled before and can maybe find in this wine as we swirl the glass and take a little bit of a smell into your glass. I get a lot of the white peach right now. The lemon zest isn't as pronounced. At cooler temperatures, the lemon zest is a little bit more pronounced. And as it warms up, you'll get some of that floral orange blossom. When you taste this wine, it is sweet. The acidity is low, so it's a softer acidity. And the body is more toward a medium light body. So it's really nice with a lot of ranges of food. And like I said, that cocktail, the Muscat Granita, kind of balances this wine out. If you love the flavors, but you don't want it quite as sweet, I really suggest you take a look in the supplemental guide and check out that recipe. But why did we include this in this season's selections of Mari's picks? Well, I'll tell you one reason why is because this is the perfect wine at Thanksgiving table. It does have that touch of sweetness. So if you have any of those savory dishes and also spicy dishes, sometimes people now are adding and incorporating more global infusion to their holiday festivities and feasts. And I know for me, my Thanksgiving tradition has often been that we will skip Thanksgiving Day and do a Mexican feast on Thanksgiving Day and then have Thanksgiving on Friday. And that way everybody can make it and they're not hustling in. So this would be perfect for that type of feast too, or like some type of other tradition that you might have outside of Thanksgiving. But I love this wine. I know my aunt is going to love it. My cousin's going to love it. I can't wait to pour it for them this holiday season because it really is so special. It is like a nectar from California. This is our California Muscat Canelli. I'll give everybody a couple minutes here, or seconds maybe, to pop on and ask any questions that you might have about the Muscat grape. and the wine that you're tasting, since you're tasting it alongside with me. We've got all the tasting notes in the back. For those of you who are new to One Hope, or a part of our Grateful Club, this is part of our dot label collection that will translate to our Vintner collection this spring. So you'll see this come out in our Vintner collection, but it is still very much part of our portfolio, and it's a fan favorite. Raise your hand if you've got friends that just love this wine. They can't get enough of it. I know you're out there because I hear all the time how my customers love a sweet wine, and my hosts are loving sweet wines, and I'd love to have this. We'll pop into the chat box here. What's the difference between Muscat and Moscato? That is a great question. Moscato is really just the Italian way of making Muscat, so making a wine from the Muscat grapes. So Moscato is made from the Muscat grape, and it typically has a little bit of that sugar. It's going to be a little more effervescent than our Muscat Canelli, so have a little bit more fizz. It's like frizzante. It's not a sparkling wine, but it's sort of frizzante with just a little refreshing fizz to it, and it'll be low in alcohol. And that's kind of a classic Moscato style wine. And that's what we have at our estate, which is the Napa Valley Moscato. Does anybody love Moscato? Can you raise your hand or type in the chat box if you love Moscato? I'm trying to scroll through. Yeah? Charlotte, do you love Moscato? Sybil does. Let's see here. I have a Riesling and Gewürztraminer fans who are apprehensive about going to Muscat. Not sure what to tell them. Well, Riesling and Gewürztraminer and Muscat grapes are all from the same family of what we call these aromatic whites. So their prime characteristic is floral and fruit notes and aromas. And they tend to be a little bit sweet on the sweeter side with a little bit of residual sugar, because that's the way that these aromatics are best expressed. Oftentimes when the wine is much drier, you just don't get that nectar sensation. These wines are really meant to be sort of this nectar-inducing wine that brings out this lemon candy, white peach, where you really fully immerse yourself in this amazing combination of florals and fruit. And so that is really why you'll see all of those wines kind of in the same family, and why they typically are a little sweeter, and why most people who like a Muscat will like a Riesling, will like a Gewürztraminer. So that's a great suggestion. So pairing suggestions, we talked a little bit about this and why we selected it for our fall Mari's Picks for our Grateful Club. But this is perfect for salty and citrusy bites. So a little bit like we were talking before, also spicy food is a really great pairing. But salty, if you're thinking of a million different dishes that you're having over the holidays, or even just post-holiday, salty potato chips or popcorn around a movie with your family, this is a great wine. And citrusy bites, you can really use your imagination there, but you can think about lemon popcorn, since we love our popcorn pairings. You can also think about lemon squares, lemon bars, lemon meringue pie. All of those desserts would be great. And then anything that you're adding citrus to, whether it's a salad or your Brussels sprout dish, those citrus notes are really going to be perfect with this wine. And I've got just some basics down here for your everyday pairings. Spicy sushi rolls, I love with this wine. Grilled peaches in the summertime are amazing with a little burrata cheese. Fish and chips is just one of those everydays. I know my husband loves fish and chips, and he's always looking for something to drink that's really refreshing, maybe an alternative to beer. And then lemon tart or lemon bars, those are super easy to make and or buy, and also great for hosting, just to have those little bite-sized lemon bars to nosh on while you're tasting some of the aromatic whites. So that could be your Muscat, your Riesling, your Gewürztraminer, and even your Sauvignon Blanc and Rosé, honestly, would be great with lemon bars. Those are like a secret weapon for hosting, I think. So a lot of great options here, and I know that not everyone loves sweet wines, but as far as sweet wines go, this is just a really great one. So glad we could taste it together, and I can't wait to have this at my Thanksgiving table. The next wine that we have is tonight is our One Hope Vintner Collection Pinot Noir. This is really one of my favorites also. But as you can imagine, I have a lot of favorites in our portfolio. And I just realized, to be completely honest, that I did not bring my spit cup up to this little office. So I'm going to have to drink the rest of my Muscat so I can pour my Pinot Noir. Yeah. Okay. Doing it. I am doing it. So our Pinot Noir, let's see here. What happened to my mouse? Bear with me, guys. Charlotte's party's loving the Pinot Noir. I see you, Charlotte. So something happened to my mouse here for a second. Sorry, guys. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the Pinot. But the Pinot is part of our new Vintner collection. I'm going to start out with the label on the back, since you guys have the label and bottle in front of you. This is a great reference tool. I love all of our tasting descriptors. The wine profile is here, easy to talk about. Also some of our pairing suggestions: grilled salmon, brownies, barbecues, and helping animals. This is our Pinot for paws. And there are a lot of animals right now in California that need some rescuing, let me tell you. These fires really have them all displaced. So this is a really timely tasting for this wine. Our tasting profile is on here, including a lot of our tasting notes, and then a little bit more about One Hope and our winemaker signatures. So amazing package. I love this wine. And screw cap. Yes. So another great example of the screw cap here, really keeping these aromas fresh and lively. I see a couple of my comments here in the chat box. Charla loves it. Chris's favorite wine in the Vintner collection. Jen loves the Pinot. So it's really good to see that you guys are loving this wine. And I'm going to see here. I've got some other friends hopping on just to say hi. So let's go ahead and, this is really bad. I have to down this Muscat. I don't have anywhere to dump it out. So, okay. All right, we're really getting the party started. So with our Pinot Noir, this is really different than our former Pinot Noir in the fact that it's very varietal. It's a signature wine for us. It's got so much going on in terms of aromas, and it's really balanced and structured. So this is another great seasonal selection for the holidays, and why we included it with the Muscat in Mari's picks is because Pinot and turkey are sort of the ultimate pairing. I love a lot of wines with turkey, to be honest. I love our Australian Shiraz with turkey. My brother-in-law loves Cabernet with turkey. I cannot sway him in another direction. He just really wants Cabernet with turkey. And so there are so many different ways that we celebrate the holidays and different traditions, but this Pinot Noir is definitely a great wine for the holidays and great with our turkey and savory dishes of Thanksgiving. A lot of times with Thanksgiving, we have a lot of savory notes, but we don't have any pronounced notes. Like I was mentioning earlier before, sometimes families are incorporating some like global flair into their Thanksgiving, where they are incorporating more spices and yeah, more of just kind of that spicy flavor, and some heat, some like chilies, cornbread stuffing, kind of getting really creative with Thanksgiving. But typically Thanksgiving dishes, I don't want to use the word bland, but they're savory and they kind of all blend together. It's like a potpourri of different herbs, right? We have a lot of thyme, oregano, and rosemary, garlic. So there's a lot of savory food influences and influences on the food that we're eating. And so I think the Pinot Noir is perfect for that because it's not overwhelming your table and not overwhelming the dishes. It's kind of harmonizing with them. And of course, we're always adding cherries and cranberries at the table, and those are notes that come popping right out with this Pinot Noir. So unfortunately, just bear with me a second. I had a difficulty with my mouse here. So that I can go over to the next slide. I'm gonna pop into the chat box. Charla's Party says, both of these wines are great with Costco's new cake truffles. Ooh. Lisa is loving the new Pinot and amped up and helps her fur friends. And Chris is gonna help me out here. Okay, just one sec, guys. Well, for some reason, my mouse just does not want to, it doesn't want to go. So we're going to just talk about this as it is. But Pinot Noir actually comes from black pine cone. So the word itself is derived from Pinot, meaning pine, and Noir, meaning black. And so why would this be a little black pine cone? Well, that's where we start with the grape. The pine cone is actually, because the grape is very small, like a pine cone, it's like a fist size, and really looks like a pine cone because you know how a pine cone is very dense, and that's how the Pinot Noir cluster is formed. So it's very dense and small, and that's where Pinot Noir gets its name. Pinot Noir has been known to be finicky in the vineyard and thus is really grown in cool climates. So when you think of Pinot Noir, you're thinking coastal regions, you're thinking about Carneros, where we source our Carneros Pinot Noir, and then now we are also thinking about Monterey with our new Monterey Pinot Noir. And then we've got Pinot Noir coming out of New Zealand, Pinot Noir in Burgundy, France. And what some people don't realize is that Pinot Noir is actually one of the main grapes in Champagne, from the Champagne region of France. Chardonnay and Pinot Noir are the two main grapes that come out of Champagne, France. So this little varietal has a lot going on, and because of its little pine cone nature, there's it's also very low in phenolic content, and what that means is tannins and color. So it's not a wimpy wine. It's just that you're never going to see the type of color coming out of Pinot Noir that you see in a Petit Syrah or a Cabernet, because this is really just the way that the grapes grow. This little pine cone just does not produce a lot of color. So that's just the way that it is. And this California Pinot Noir is sourced from throughout the coastal regions of California. And we also do blend in some interior fruit. So some fruit from the internal valley Clarksburg is an area that has cool climate for the Central Valley, and we incorporate that fruit to give that juicy, cherry, bright expression. I know Chris is working on my, helping me out here. So I'm gonna give her control while you guys sip the Pinot. Okay, everybody. So as we're swirling the Pinot Noir and you're smelling it, you're going to smell a lot of that cherry, a little touch of graphite, which is really pronounced in our Monterey Pinot Noir, but you can get that here too. That's another characteristic in Pinot. I love the touch of vanilla, which is really that hallmark stamp of being aged in French and American oak. And what I love about this particular Pinot is just the weight and the silky feel on the mid palate. It's really pronounced, really dense and weighted. And I love how it just fills up your palate without overwhelming. And that's what's going to be perfect at your Thanksgiving table. The acidity in this wine is medium, so not overly acidic. But it's also not quite as soft as the Muscat that we tasted earlier. The body, we call it like a low to medium body, but that's just in comparison to all red wines. But really for a Pinot, this has a great body to it. And like I said, more of that silky feel and kind of covers and coats your whole palate. And this is medium sweetness. It's not a really sweet wine, certainly in comparison to the Muscat Canelli. It is not a sweet wine, but it is very classic. Sybil just said it's a very classic Pinot Noir, and I think it is. You could taste this blindly and recognize that this is a Pinot Noir. And I'm just really enjoying that silky texture. For me as a winemaker, working to bring you guys the very best wines, one of the kind of key components to me in quality wine is texture. And texture is really hard to achieve. It's something you really have to focus on and work on. And with Pinot Noir, it's really important because it's everything, right? The texture is everything. There's aromas, but you don't have that big color. You don't have those big, huge tannins. So you need texture. You need that silk. You need that velvet. You need a little bit of that too. So let's go on to some of our pairing suggestions. And I'm sorry that my screen is just not wanting to pull this beautiful presentation up because it really is pretty, but we'll get that out to you guys in some fun shareables because I know we have those. But this is perfect for, as I said, for the Thanksgiving meal. The turkey, the bird is important. Turkey, when you're not getting it in a deli slice, is actually very flavorful, and it has a little bit of a gamey note in comparison to chicken and other white meat, especially. And so with that, the Pinot Noir really works because Pinot has two sides. It's earthy and it's bright and full of red fruit, right? So depending on what you pair it with, it will make the wine pop. So if I like earthy and savory dishes, which I happen to like, earthy and savory dishes, like Thanksgiving dishes, then I will pair this with Pinot Noir, and the Pinot Noir will explode with those bright cherries and raspberries. That's kind of how the wine pairing works. Now, if I really love fruit and I can't get enough cranberry on my turkey and I'm smothering it in cranberry, when I taste the Pinot Noir, I'm going to get more of that graphite, more of that vanilla, and a little bit more earthiness. But that vanilla is going to pop, and so is some of that kind of graphite, kind of almost menthol type character, minty character that Pinot Noir has, and that's the wine is going to be more savory. So there's two ways to pair the wine, both perfect at the Thanksgiving table. So I know you guys are going to love it. So wrapping up our deep dive into these two wines. We have the Muscat Canelli and the Vintner Collection Pinot Noir. Last month, we featured our Viognier and our Australian Shiraz. And together next month, we're tasting two more wines, and that will complete our season of Mari's Picks, which is for this fall holiday season. I believe next month we have the Napa Valley Red Blend and the Sparkling Brut. So those, I believe, are two for next month. And so we'll dive into those for the holidays, where we have prime rib that we'll be working with, featuring some pairings, and also our sparkling, which is perfect for New Year's and all kinds of holiday occasions. So I'm looking forward to that. A quick reminder for everybody to bring your Grateful Club members to our Grape to Glass. This is a complimentary tasting live from Napa Valley most of the time. And we are just coming into your homes. So I see all of your beautiful kitchens, and you get to be there and taste these wines and hopefully learn something from the grape all the way to the glass. So I'll open up the chat box one more time and see if you guys have any questions or last minute Thanksgiving pairing suggestions, hosting gifts. I talked a little bit this morning on Q&A about some hosting gift ideas, especially for the holidays, but I really encourage you guys to check out the etching that we can do now on some of our gifts. It's really special. I couldn't believe it when I showed my relatives what I brought for them for hosting Thanksgiving and to celebrate one of their milestones. They just really couldn't believe it. It was like, wow, that's really pretty cool, personalized gift. So think about that. And I know I am going to be popping some sparkling rosé over the next few days. That is a mainstay on my Thanksgiving table this year. Super excited to be adding that for the first time. And let's see, I see some of your comments. Happy Thanksgiving. Really happy to see that you guys learned something about the wines and pairings and Thanksgiving. And I see Jake in there at Estate 8. Is that you, Jake? Are you unmuted?
I am unmuted. I think. Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm here in the kitchen, in your kitchen.
Awesome. Welcome.
Dan's in the other room, and he shared his Pinot Noir with me. So.
Oh, nice.
I'm drinking it with you guys.
Are you going to be serving Pinot Noir at your holiday this year?
Of course.
I know there are many to choose from. So, and I know you love the Russian River.
I'm going to serve this Pinot. I'm going to serve the Carneros Pinot, and I'm going to serve the Russian River Pinot. We're going to line those three up.
Nice. That is amazing.
I agree with everybody, though, about the Vintner Collection Pinot being delicious.
Nice. I love this wine, too. It's very satisfying. It's going to be perfect for the holiday. So you guys enjoy your holiday. I know many of you are working the weekend because it's an exciting weekend with hosting events and tastings and sharing a little bit of One Hope wine. And we all need that this time of year. So I appreciate everything you guys do. And please head to Facebook for Q&A if you have any questions. I'm always here to answer those for you guys, and have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Cheers. I have like a low ball glass. I have like a low ball glass, guys. This is
you're drinking out of a Scotch glass, right?
I know. It's the only one in my family's home. So I explained to everybody, like, you can really taste out of anything. Jake probably has the nicest glass right now because he's got the Pinot glass at Estate 8. So
because I'm borrowing the glasses at Estate 8.
Yeah, which is amazing. I dug this out because the only other step up was the China, and I think it's like Christmas China or Thanksgiving China. So you know what? It tastes great.
It does the job.
Well, cheers, everybody. Happy holiday. Encourage your Grateful members to come in December. We're going to have a great tasting, and we'll make sure to get these slides out to you guys so that you have the whole presentation. You can use those bits and pieces as you head out with more tastings to finish off the year. Cheers.